I invite our first eulogist to come up, Amma's eldest granddaughter, Jasmy Methipara.
Good morning, everyone. As news of Amma's declining health came in, many thoughts circulated my head. We've been here before. She can definitely bounce back. Then, well, she is 98. This was bound to happen at some point. And then back to, no, Amma's a fighter. She'll be fine. But as we all know, at some point, we have to say goodbye. Very few people get to experience life for as long as she did. And also, from my perspective, very few people get to hold on to their grandparents for as long as I have. As someone who's almost 40, I know she was almost 100, but it's still a little difficult to say you're almost 40. I've been able to see a lot of relationship dynamics play out. I had a lifetime of interactions with grandparents and great-grandparents. Over roughly the last decade, I've been able to witness the joy of grandparenthood through a different lens with my own children and parents. When I became a mother, I was able to understand what women in generations before me went through. After labor and delivery, I couldn't help but think, wow, Amma did that 8 times. Having children and watching them grow into little people has a way of releasing stories from the depths of your memory that you forgot were even housed there. When I see my parents trying to sneak sweets to their grandchildren, I remember the little candies that Amma used to quietly pass to Jomi and me with a smirk and hushed tones. Grandparents seem to all read from the same playbook, no matter the generation. When Nina quickly recalls family events, birthdays, and stories from the past, I'm reminded of the genetic lineage that brought her those gifts. Watching my kids perform home eye exams to make sure Devin didn't need glasses sparked the memory of my brother and I teaching Amma the English alphabet so she could take her own eye exam here in the US. Even simply giving children milk led to childhood stories from my dad of coming home to Amma from school as a young child for a little papum. That's what you did back then. So much has changed in the practices of motherhood, and yet I have more in common with Amma than I ever really knew, because at a very basic level, so much is still the same. The same recipe applies for mothers of any generation. Love and be loved. And boy, was Amma loved. For over 70 years as a mother, over 40 years as a grandmother, and over 10 years as a great-grandmother. Being part of that first-generation cohort here in the US, I know my relationship with my grandparents was very different from that of my parents with their grandparents in Kerala, and also in the relationship they have with their grandchildren. My biggest barrier was communication, which is unfortunate because for anyone who knew Amma, you knew she liked to talk. She could go on and on about anything. She would even talk to Jeff without end, and even when I wasn't present to translate, Amma seemed convinced that Jeff understood everything. In some ways, Amma did have supernatural strengths. By virtue of her age alone, she was exceptional. The power, though, that I'm referring to can be described in some ways as a gravitational pull, both in life and death. You see it very clearly in large, tight-knit families like ours, where there's a convening power around elders. Grandparents are the common link in cousin relationships. And by simply being present in our lives for as long as she has, Amma has enabled our family to grow considerably in our connection and love for each other. And we will all be forever grateful for that. With Amma's passing, we've arrived to the end of an era. Once a generation is lost, it can only be kept alive through the art of storytelling. And I encourage everyone here to do just that. Share her stories. Share your stories. We all have more share-worthy experiences than we think we do. Storytelling will not only bring us closer together as a family, but celebrate a favorite activity of a wonderful, loving, God-fearing woman, our Amma, who has touched the lives of so many people in her long life on this earth. May she rest in peace, and may her memory forever be etched into our hearts. Thank you.